taking bottom keep, and then BTG are able to turn it around and take the victory. It's a back and forth game between these two teams, and I'm excited for the next map, which is going to be Sky Temple for the first time this, I wanted to say weekend, because I'm used to weekends, but nope, on this weekday, this wonderful Tuesday.
Yeah, in fact, it's the first Sky Temple we've seen all playoffs long, and I'm wondering how Soa can maybe abuse the potential weakness of other teams in this battleground, because it doesn't seem to be a go-to map choice in China. However, Soa is doing extremely well on this one. 75% win ratio. Can't complain about that one too much. Of course, what leads towards Sky Temple potentially not being as popular in China is the fact that you can oftentimes win by taking the objective alone. You don't have to teamfight. You don't have to brawl at any given moment. What you can do very often is just kite your opponents and wait for the next temples to arrive if you already have a structural lead.
The game is beginning. BTG with the first ban of this series. So, we already mentioned temple leads and how important they are. Boss control is also very important on this map. We have seen teams like Fnatic, like Ignitus, like KSV just dominate the bot lane on this map and win in like the first 10-15 minutes. We'll be using the bottom temple on the second rotation into an immediate boss and then pushing for core. It can happen. Globals, though, if you're aiming for a late game, are the name of the game. Being able to rotate quickly and soak for the maximum amount of time possible are the key features.
Alright, Maiev once again not making it into the fray. Once again, Hanzo being secured by Beyond the Game. Although we didn't have Dragon's Error last game, it still did them so much. We could actually see how Hanzo was oftentimes the one chasing Genji rather than the other way around. And once again, we see teams... Yeah, go ahead.
That actually means that Hanzo has a 100% win rate in this series, while HGC has a 0%.
And that is pretty interesting to see, isn't it?
It's kind of funny, but I like it. I love it a lot. But yeah, what were you saying about Hanzo?
So Hanzo is, of course, a hero that can almost be played in any way, shape, or form right now. In the upper echelons of Hero League, when I see Hanzos on both my team or the enemy team, it is mostly a Q build. So you basically go for a longer range, for the explosion impact on a non-heroic target. Here in HGC China, we have seen mostly W builds, allowing you to clear mercenary camps and minion waves faster, but also the redemption build is still good to go and can actually be, enhanced by various talents like W talents or the classic armor reduction at level 7.
Now we just have to wait for the Hanzo rework that inevitably makes his E the most overpowered ability in the game. But now, Noob and Stukov are the next two picks for BTG, whereas ETC and Malfurion were picked up by Soa, so that does mean Druid is back on Stukov for the first time this series.
Alright, Stukov finding his way in to the game, as you said. Now, Sky Temple, I wouldn't say is one of the prime maps for Stukov, because it has only a limited amount of choke points, which is where he normally excels at, which makes maps like Towers of Doom such a staple for Stukov. But he's still very good when it comes to dominating temples. If you block one of the entrances, for example, with your lurking arm, or if you just push people away constantly from a temple, you can really buy your team precious seconds to get maximum value.
Yeah, bot temple especially is pretty beastly for that. Top not so much, and mid almost impossible, just due to how wide the entrance areas are. But bot temple, there are only 2 entrances to it, as opposed to top there is 3, and like I said, mid is basically open. So being able to take a decent position that way could be a huge move. And of course, these first couple temple plays, I don't know if it's if it's just consistent all the way through, or if it's just the first 2. The first 2 always spawn mid and top, and the second one always spawns bot as a single. This is what teams will usually try and push off of with a boss, which does mean Stukov, if they did want to try and make that kind of boss push play, this could be the opportunity to do so by zoning out bot lane and seeing if they can pick themselves up a kill, soak XP with a global potentially, grab a boss with that Hanzo, that extra damage because they'll have level 4 by then, and try and push with it.
Absolutely. So, second ban on Dehaka as per usual. It looks like Soa has just so much respect towards UCS Dehaka, and rightfully so, because those isolations yesterday were just godly and absolutely deadly. When he landed that 3-man isolation, I couldn't trust my eyes to see how much impact that had against both Timeflow and Sunny Lion later then. Falset, though, looks like they, on the other hand, don't want to deal with all those Falset shenanigans anymore. Mighty Gust on this map could be very strong, especially when it comes to securing bosses or just dominating lanes in the temple vicinity, or just the Hinterlands Blast raw damage output in last game cost them so much headache.
They very nearly lost. If it wasn't for Sanctification just being just in time those 2 times, they would have absolutely lost that game. And Hinterland Blast was a huge part of it. The resets at the start of the game when BTG were already ahead, and then Falset's like, oh yeah, I have R. And combined with Sonya, just shredded the next 2 team fights, which very nearly, like I said, put Soa in an insurmountable lead. But now it has been removed, preventing that from happening again.
And while I don't want to bash on Sori on the Genji too much, because he did play phenomenally well last game, I'm not sure if they should go for the Genji route again. While the hero is still good, I wasn't really sure if that build was getting the maximum amount of damage out of it. What about you, Tetra? Do you think the Dragon Claw is here to stay, or should you go to...
It was interesting, and he did blow people up, but I maybe would have preferred Shuriken, giving him a little bit more poke damage to the backline.
Yeah, either Shuriken build or, of course, the standard full E plus perfect defense. But here goes the Jaina and the Tyrael as well. So Tyrael actually becoming such a hard hero to fight against in the last game. Massive protection, good boss stunning there at the end. Definitely won beyond the game there. So now no longer in their arsenal, but instead joining Soa's ranks.
So Tyrael, in their usual picks, and once again the same position as ETC, where it's basically 50%, 3 and 4 in terms of win-losses. The Jaina, on the other hand, I am scrolling through, and I don't know if Soa have played it before. I don't think it has. No, they have played it, and it's on exactly 50%, so they're picking just a lot of strong things. But remember, the win rate for Jaina this game, this phase basically, is pretty insane. However, win rate in this series, Li Ming coming in here.
Yeah, Li Ming is going to have a tougher time to blow somebody up now with Tyrael in the mix and providing shields for everybody, and even going for Sanctification most potentially. So, we also see Jaina coming in, and we have a new player. We have Sori fighting it out with Soa instead of Molly this time around. So maybe Sori is a more versatile Jaina player. Maybe he ends up playing her quite a bit, or maybe TY actually just practiced it during the lunar holidays. So let's see what is going to be the case here.
Was it Molly who played Jaina last phase?
No, but maybe Sori is a better Jaina player than Molly, and they can switch it around and basically flex it out.
It's a fair point. Yeah, it definitely was Molly who used to do it. So TY would either have to cover, or Molly is gonna, or Sori is gonna have to fill in for Molly there. So that is potentially a difficult shoes to fill.
Definitely true, and they're taking their sweet time finding their last pick, and it is going to be the Grey Mane after all. Nice. Now that looks like a hero for Sori if you really wanted to fill Molly's shoes here, but you know, the ranged assassin role today for Team Soa is a little bit unpredictable due to the absence of one of their key players.
Yeah, it's very flexible. They can adjust who is in what particular role here pretty effectively without too many difficulties. So, I really like their comp. It's got sustained, it's got burst, it's got hard engage, it's got disengage. It's not too bad.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Team Soa's hero comp is one that you would gladly have in Hero League at any given point. However, the team composition from beyond the game has its charm as well. Once again, we have LLK on that Li Ming. He was doing absolute God's work last game. And we also do have a noob rank, which is one of 619's best heroes. And quite honestly, I think the way he played it last game was also very threatening. Very good on the timing, very good on the cocoon as well. So let's see how it goes.
Alright, so Sky Temple. Only global in the game, if I'm remembering correctly, because Dahaka was not picked up, which is quite surprising, honestly, is ETC, Stage Dive.
Oh, Dahaka was banned.
And Hanzo. Oh yeah, Dahaka was banned, so yeah. And Hanzo if we get to level 20. But currently, up to level 10, the only global is going to be ETC.
Yeah, this man, Fei Yi. There's going to be a lot of weight on his shoulders. He almost carried it last game on that spectacular Sonya with a leap. Can he do it this time on the Tyrael? A little bit more passive, a little bit more defensive, but still a very potent and very powerful weapon. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to dive into game number 3 between Team Soa and Team Beyond the Game on Sky Temple. on the left-hand side. Teams start over again with Faye on the Turiel, Uncle G plays support, Malfurion again, TY on the Jaina after all, Klong on ETC, and Sorry on the Greymane.
And fighting their way from 6th place, it is going to be Beyond the Game with Druid on the Stukov, 619 on Arthas, ZJZ on Anubarak, LLK on Li Ming, and Dancing is on the Hanzo. So yeah, a little bit of a swap up here with the tank player 619 going onto the Arthas, which is more of a tanky tank, and it's going to be the Anubarak played by ZJZ.
And you can see how one sonic arrow basically secures them the early watchtower, because if you have vision over your opponents, you know exactly who to focus on, you know exactly where to hit them from, and your opponents are still left in the dark. So well played by Beyond the Game, and nice little victory there. But as you said, 619 is on the main tanky tank on Arthas, which we haven't really seen too often from him, and the Anubarak goes over to ZJZ.
Which is very interesting, seeing as ZJZ seems to play a lot of the melee damage dealers more, which Arthas has traditionally been the tank of choice by those particular players. If we take Chicken into account, for example.
Oh yeah.
If he has a choice for a tank, he'll play a little bit more of a damaging Arthas, because it lets him just walk in, wade through the enemy team and do damage.
Now, up to this point, TY seems to be going for a Frostbolt-oriented build, going for the range, the increased range on every Q of his, allowing Jaina to actually hit targets from a greater distance without exposing herself too much. On the other hand, though, it gives her more mana consumption. Without Fingers of Frost, for example, without the Arcane Intellect most likely level 4, she's going to have to be very careful on when to attack and how much mana she wants to spend.
We also have Fetid Touch coming in for Stukov here, giving him that extra weighted pustule cooldown reduction, which is pretty beastly, allowing him to spam that out. And of course, if he's able to hit 30 heroes with it, it will remove the mana cost completely, which is pretty insane if you are trying to harass heroes and prevent chase from high-speed heroes like Greymane or anyone empowered by Tyrael.
Yeah, in the meantime, we saw how Soa is trying to fight the Arthas here. Fight ice with ice. Jaina actually being capable of dealing a lot of respectable damage onto an Arthas. Here goes a stun on Uncle G, trying to get a little bit of damage on her. Good job by LLK.
Arthas versus Jaina, it's very much a favorable matchup for the Jaina. The consistent slows is a really big deal, because Arthas, the whole point of him is he has to get in melee range of you. If you slow and kite him, which Jaina is probably the best hero to do that with, then he has serious trouble, and of course, his physical armor will not affect Jaina's abilities.
Yeah, well said there. Also, really well done by Druid. One combo here, slowing everybody in the lurking arm. Faye took a lot of damage in the process. They still are being reinforced by mercenaries. Look at the map awareness by Faye too. He scouted the bush on the south-hand side just to prevent any sneaky flanks by ZJZ. So, well done, and they do take a tower down as a result.
Finally killing off that wizard minion as well. But like you said, that tower was a big problem for them, but they killed it off without too much difficulty.
In the meantime, ZJZ is being pushed back. Didn't really want to get caught by Jaina. And although Anubarak has inbuilt magic armor, unlike Arthas, he is still a little susceptible to getting caught by a Jaina, because true, the Nerubian armor at level 1 is going to protect him additionally, but the Jaina burst can oftentimes be strong enough to pierce through that and cause some troubles for his low health pool. So, gotta be very careful, the two tank liners or frontliners for BTG, and that's exactly what we talked about.
Arthas tanking through all the damage, and down goes Klong. Nicely done, Druid, able to set that up, and with the consistent slows, engaging into that kind of composition is always going to be rough. Silences, slows, and stuns all the way. If you don't kill him immediately, you're going to have a bad time getting out.
Yeah. So here's what happened there, Tetra. I think Team Soa was very confident in actually getting the dive securely, because they thought minions were nearby. They had a pretty sizable minion wave. However, the Anubarak spawns beetles after using an ability, and what that does is it actually blocks the minion wave, because they will attack the beetles and not march towards the tower. And all of a sudden, ETC was caught isolated. He took more fort damage than anticipated, and he ended up falling. So a cute little trick by Anubarak to sometimes mess with your opponent's battle plans.
It is pretty effective if left unattended, as we do see Arthas chilling in the bush, keeping an eye out. Boss not available for another 30 seconds. Once again, the whole idea for the strategy we used to see from Fnatic, etc., was to just dominate the bot lane once the temple spawns, which it would potentially be possible to do, but neither team's actually put too much pressure on those bottom lanes yet. The front walls are still in pretty decent shape, and the fountains are alive for both teams.
Alright, as you said, a very clutch game up to this point. A little bit of a victory here for Team Soa, though, destroying the fort with those temple laser shots. But nothing's really decided yet, and all is going to come down here for that second temple phase, preparing in the bottom. In the meantime, Tyrael's bullying ZJZ here a little bit, and although Tyrael's auto attacks aren't really strong, they're still more than capable of dealing with a noob rank if he doesn't really play his cooldowns very smartly. Now, we see an early prioritization on those Siege Giant skims. Pay attention to how Malfurion heals them with regrows and the Moonfire heal to get as much value out of them as possible.
Keep an eye on that timing, but as the objective is spawning, how well are Tyrael and Anubrak going to be able to rotate? They are very, very busy up at the top lane. In fact, Tyrael is in a really, we could call it stupid position if there was anything else going on the map. If he didn't have vision on the enemy team, which he no longer does, by the way, he should not be here. And as such, he should be pulling back now and is doing so very wisely, because if Hanzo and Arthas rotated in, there's a very solid chance he would die.
Yeah. Pursuit of Justice, of course, helps him there. The level 7 talent, providing additional movement speed and additional attack speed to everyone standing inside. Oh my goodness, Hanzo actually dropped very low there. Dancing is lucky that nobody intercepted him there. And that, of course, the long time they took for the Night Camp to switch sides here, that gave so much value already to Team Soa. Almost 50% of that laser already falling in their hands.
And the laser being retaken by Soa, looking to try and put some pressure on of their own, but BTG not wanting to give up the rest of it without a fight here. And with heroics available for both teams, and Arthas holding his... There we go, Arvid's dead. I was about to say, are they that committed? Just go for it, drop the Cinder Ghoster and try and push bot lane? But no, not going to happen this time. Sticking with the standard, Armin the dead. Neither team dropping any heroics yet. Cocoon will likely be the opener, if any of them. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that as a noob does move forward into position. Takes a little bit of harassment from Jaina, though.
Who's going to get the last final shots? Arthas is now posturing up very nicely, establishing himself in good position. Here comes the re-engage by Faye.
Faye moving forward. Sag basically on just here, but Malfurion is able to move forward as well. Druid getting forced out of position there. A nice Dragon Strike, not bad here. Cocoon onto the Malfurion, and it does interrupt the Twilight Dream here as they force forward, leaving already dead. Dancing being focused down. Good heal by Druid, keeping them alive, but still his team drops down.
A massacre.
So much dread this fight. I was getting ready to get hyped up, but they died too fast. They're trying to catch out Dancing, looking for him here. Can he find an escape route?
The dismount.
Interrupt, demounted. He's got a wall, but clogs in between him and it. And go for the throat, finishes the kill.
Sweet move here. Yeah, sweet move by ETC, using the greater casting range of his Face Melt, thanks to the level 4 talent. And here goes the big sanctification. The Twilight Dream was actually nicely interrupted there as well, and the Cocoon was good too, but the backline was completely naked. Anubrak didn't have any burrow charges left, and of course, false Arthas, we talked about this. He's a slow warrior. He doesn't have gap closes to peel for the backline, and it all turns south from there. The silence preventing Arthas from healing himself with the ghouls, and Team Soa just getting a clean team wipe after this, and the boss on top of it.
They did get the boss, but they're not pushing with it. They decided to go back instead, and as such, we are going to have that boss cleaned up. They really won't get much value out of it. It's going to do a little bit of damage to the front wall, which is a shame. They could have maybe got some stuff done, but getting the mana and the health is a little bit safer. They don't exactly have the heavy push team that, say, maybe as we've seen comps go with before, Sylvanas, or maybe just running some heavy push here as an incredible wave clear and siege damage potential. Jada's not the best for that. Li Ming might have fit into that kind of composition as well.
Yeah, and I think the problem also was that they were still low on mana, they were still low on health because of their previous team fight. Here, speaking of team fights, we see another engage. The Ring of Frost hitting nothing, unfortunately, only hitting all those ghouls, freezing them and making them bibber. But for now, though, Team Soa is still in a good spot. They have the 13 online. They basically kept their opponents at bay. Jaina, by the way, only halfway done roughly with that Ice Block quest. Now, something I wanted to mention here real quick, Tetcher, before we see another team fight, is Greymane's build and his adaptation to Arthas in the enemy team. You want to go Quicksilver bullets at level 7, and you normally don't want to go for cocktail talents too much, because what you need to do is you need to have a longer attack range so you keep yourself away from the Frozen Tempest, which would slow you down otherwise, and only when Arthas is already far away from the backline will you try to dive in and take them out.
Yeah, that is going to be the plan here, but so far, Arthas did survive thanks to the great play by Druid, able to use that nice flaming swipe to keep his team alive. But BTG, despite losing the fight in the bot lane the first time, we're still able to claim the majority of the shots from this bot lane, but we can see Soa looking to try and punish that move again. They found Druid here. That's a pretty decent target, especially if they can kill him and go for the throat. Picks up the kill. Now it's 619. Lovely route once again. Even at the Frost Resilience is not enough to keep him alive there.
Yeah, just a fantastic target to find here. The Stukov. He doesn't really have a lot of disengage. Using Flaming Swipe could have maybe stalled it out, but he was so far near the Grey Mane that it was just the easiest thing in the world for the Doggo to take him out. Now, look at the map awareness here. They're trying to take everything away from beyond the game. Not even their own Night Camp is ready to be taken. Beautiful Teriel hold the ground there as well to potentially secure it, but it's not even needed. Teriel takes a little bit of additional damage here, but not enough to keep him away from the Mercenary Camp.
As the Mercenary Camp will push in, are we going to see Soa push with it this time? Looks like we will. They're going to try and actually make something happen this time. ETC is on the way via also mid lane, clearing that out as well. That is the plan, but he has got many minions there. They were already weakened quite a bit, and the next minion wave has only just spawned, so is a little bit out. And as such, Soa can't commit any further due to the Bruiser Camp already falling.
Yeah, the Bruiser Camp has fallen. Beyond the game have stabilized for now, but it's only a... You know, it's not really a defeat for Team Soa because they know exactly what they wanted to do. They're just patiently waiting for Team 16, for level 16, and then they will come back stronger than ever before, taking Seashine's camps. Maybe they could even invade the enemy one. ETC is falling back though. They're not taking any answers. And after game number 2, I really like the patience that they basically play this game with now. They realize we have all the time in the world. We have a huge structural lead. We have a talent lead as well. As long as we don't play overly patient and overly scared, we're probably going to win the video game.
Probably going to win the video game. Kendrick's Wish 2018. I almost said 2017. Not anymore. As we do see Klong moving around for his position to see if he could find a nice engage angle there. Not able to do so for the moment. Uncle G actually demounting, dropping a sort of preemptive heal, which was not required, but it was just in case. And of course, to make sure he has Moonfire sort of preloaded, but he's not got anything to Moonfire, so he won't be able to keep that up.
Tetra, this is the best case scenario for Team Soa right now. They can have Klong on the bottom lane, trying to maybe occupy the temple for a little bit and then help his teammate with a global stage dive. And at the same time, they still have a Wizard, Mercenary, and a huge minion wave. They're pushing towards the top lane. This is a prong attack here, a pincer move, and if they play it well, Soa, that could actually be a keep. One way or the other, either bottom or top.
But looks like it is going to be bottom, though, because once again, they set up a Mercenary Camp, they set up a push, and refuse to push with it. They're very unwilling to get themselves caught, and that's fair. Cocoon, when you're that far pushed forward, is almost never going to be cleared. The Dragon Arrow is an amazing way for you to throw the game, and of course, Arthas is a great setup for any kind of counter engagement. So it makes far more sense for them to back up now that the pressure is already on. They're going to try and take the boss, which is still risky, but could go seriously well because they are basically opening bot lane.
Yeah.
ETC even rotating up to try and guarantee the boss if BTG tried to raid it.
For Team Soa, it's right now an all-you-can-eat buffet. They're like, would you mind a little bit of boss over here, a little bit of temple value over there? Oh, you want the bottom keep? Sure, have some more of that. They're so dominant on the map, they can rotate wherever they please with that 16 lead, and they're just administrating this lead super well, not taking any unnecessary risk. And here goes the temple, here goes the bottom fort.
This might be game, like you said. Bottom keep is down to the final shots from the temple as they move in. Dragon Arrow is good, getting all 5, but it was very short range, so it doesn't get a huge duration as we see a Nubarak get shredded. Cocoon is popped, which sets up the Sanctification, and they're trying to kill Arthas as well, but Arthas is tanking through it. The boss unattended, half health, down goes Arthas. And with those tanks down, even being knocked into the keep range, they just need to get under Tyrael, drop the Sanctuary down, Druid gets killed off, and even with the boss down, Li Ming, she can do a lot of damage, but there's no way she's going to be able to get the resets when the core is dead. As that is GG. Soa takes game number 3.
And